Hi guys, and welcome to Slipstream. I'm now going to show you how to set up your account as an administrator. You will have a big dashboard in front of you that says Slipstream and welcome. And what we're going to do is we're going to start all the way at the bottom of the navigation panel on the left-hand side under settings. So once you click on settings, what you're going to do is you're going to set up your company details and parameters. Start off by inserting your company logo and putting in all the details of your relevant company, your company name, the contact person's number, as well as email address, the physical address of the company, and the email address of the financial controller. On the right-hand side of the screen, you are then going to include the fiscal year end. Generally in South Africa, we're looking at February, as well as the main currency rate, the base currency. You're going to establish what your time zone is, as well as the date format that you would like to see your information. Directly under that, what you are going to be doing is costing your rate per either kilometer or mile for travel expenses, which are going to be linked and loaded on the system. So you either stipulate how whether the distance unit is kilometers or whether it's miles, and then what you will put in is the rate per kilometer or mile based on the company's travel policy. Directly underneath that, what you are going to do is add expense categories. Now, these are categories that will link to the expense claims that are being loaded by all of your employees. So this should be in line with company policy and really should also link to your trial balance. For example, accommodation, flights, parking, office expenses, travel, whether it be local or international. If you've perhaps decided to break it down more into Uber travel or parking tickets, then client entertainment, staff entertainment, internet and telephone, potential client new business, whatever the case might be. Those are just some of the examples, but really you should sit with your finance team and put in all of the details, and they should link to your trial balance. Once you have stipulated your expense categories, what you are then going to go and do is add your departments. Now, these are all departments in your company that will either be loading travel claims or approving travel claims. So, for example, we've got Exco, Human Resources, Accounts and Finance, Administration, Production, Research and Development, IT, Management, Sales, Ops, Support, warehousing, marketing, strategy, just to name a few. So you are able to go and just write the name and add it, and then you will link it at the bottom. If you, for any reason, want to delete a department, you simply just go and click on the red X, and that will delete the department accordingly. Directly under that, you've got email preferences. This is just your standard setup. So you're also able to tick the box whether you want to receive emails when you submit or forward a report, as well as tick the box if you'd like to get any feature updates from Slipstream. So once you've done all of that, you can click update settings, and this will really just update your business settings and put you in a position that now you can go and add users onto the system. So on the left hand side of the navigation panel, you then scroll all the way up and you click on users. Now what you are going to go and do is you're going to go and create users for the system. These users will either be another administrator just like yourself. It will be people that are approving claims and travel expenses, and then it will be actual app users. So what you go and do on the top right hand side of the screen, you click on the create user, you put the name and surname of the user, the contact number, their email address, and then what you're going to be doing is selecting which department they form part of based on the departments that you have established under settings. And once you've clicked on that, you can go and select what user type they are, whether they're an approver, an administrator, or an app user. Once you've done that, you press create user and you're good to go. You do that for all of the users on the system. What you'll be able to see is once you have created them, you can click on them, and on the little green pencil in the box, you can edit it or you can delete the user. So once you have set up your settings and you've set up all users, what you then need to go and do is set up all your approvers. So you click on the left-hand navigation side, and what you're going to go and do is you are going to go onto the right-hand side now on the drop-down, and you are going to go into each department and click on Exco, for example, and stipulate who are the different approvers. This will be in line with your company policy as to how many approvers are required. But for example, approver 1, you will link it to the approver that you've already linked on the system, and as you have made changes to them, it will say approver 1 has been inserted. Approver 2, you link to the next approver stage, and for example, if you don't need an approver 3, then you can just leave it blank. Once you have done all of that, you are ready to go and actually use the system. On loading users onto the system, the specific users will receive emails into their inboxes with their username as well as email address. So they are able to then set everything up on, if they're an app user, on their phone as well as on their computer. And if they're approvers, then they'll have access to the dashboard where they're able to approve expense reports. All right. So now we're going to go into expenses. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you click on expenses. Now, what you do in this regard is you, as an administrator, you are able to see the entire company's expenses. So you are able to see created expenses as well as archived expenses. It is important to note that an expense cannot be sent for approval. An expense can be created, and a number of expenses can be created, and they need to be linked to a report for it to go for approval. So if you are using the system to be able to approve claims and then reimburse accordingly, it's really important to note that. Alright, so if you click on expenses, what you're able to see under expenses is the details of the user as well as the expenses that they have loaded onto the system. If you click on the first expense item, you will have details of this. It will give you the user name, the expense name, the date, as well as the amount. If you press on the right hand side on that little paper clip, you are then able to see the supporting documentation relating to that expense. Alright. So under created expenses, like I said, those are all expenses which have been created, which are yet to be linked to a report. Under created expenses are archived expenses. These are expenses that have been created for a specific purpose, have not been linked to a report, and have been archived accordingly. After expenses, we now go to reports, and under reports you've got a number of different options. You can see created reports, submitted and pending reports, approved reports, rejected reports, as well as archived reports. If we start with created reports, these are reports that have been created by the specific users with the purpose of linking expenses to them. These are yet to be submitted for approval, so this will just give you information of all of the reports that have been created. Some might have expenses linked to them, some may not. Again, you can click on the report, and on the right hand side of the screen it will pull up all of the information, and you're able to see the details of every single expense claim which is linked to the report as well as the supporting documentation. Under submitted and pending reports, these are reports that have indeed been submitted and are pending approval. So you are able to click on the report again, and on the right hand side of the screen see all of the details of the report. Once an approver has indeed approved the report, you will be able to see this under approved reports. Again, click on the individual report. On the right hand side, you will be able to see all the details of the various expenses that have been linked to the report as well as the attached files. And it's obviously important to note that these now have indeed been approved. Rejected reports. It's self-explanatory. These are reports that have, for a specific reason, been rejected, but you are able to see obviously the details once you click on the report on the right hand side of the screen, and you're able to view the attached files. Under archived reports, these are reports that have either been approved and subsequently archived, or that users have decided not to send for approval for whatever reason. They might be using the system not just to claim specific expenses, but perhaps to store and archive items for their own purpose, and this you'll be able to see the archived reports under this. A really great feature of Slipstream is analytics, and if you simply click on analytics on the left hand side of the screen, what it will do is it will allow the administrator to view a lot of information with various variables. So if you go onto the screen, you can choose the time period, whether you want to look at expenses per year or per month, and then you can obviously check which year or month you'd like, and then you can check different expense categories per department, per actual expense category or per user, which is really helpful. You can check spending, you can check trends, you can check perhaps make decisions on excessive spending, you can check expenditure per user, and it really just gives you a lot of very helpful information. At the bottom of the screen, you can also decide how you'd like to see it, whether it be in a pie chart, a donut, or a bar graph.